Okay, so you've heard of Microsoft Copilot, right?
Maybe I've even played around with it a bit.
Sure.
But are you ready to go from like casual user to, certified Copilot expert?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing today. We are diving deep, folks. Articles, research, even going into Wikipedia to figure out how this AI assistant went from being just a glorified helper in the search bar to a total powerhouse when it comes to, well, just getting things done.
And it's crazy how fast it's all happening.
Yeah.
It feels like just yesterday we were all waiting for that Bing chat invite, and now it's like transforming into something way bigger.
Bing Chat, you're right. It wasn't always called Copilot. It was like a whole rebranding thing, wasn't it? What's the story there?
Yeah, totally. It all started back in February 2023, right?
Yeah.
Bing chat was the hot new thing. Everyone wanted in on that wait list.
I remember that.
Microsoft was like bragging that 1 million people signed up in just 2 days.
Crazy. Oh, yeah. I remember those early days. It was the big ChatGPT rival. Everyone was talking about it.
For sure. And the name, Bing Chat, it really shows what they were going for at first, just making search more interactive. But then Microsoft starts weaving this tech into everything, Windows, but especially like Microsoft 365. That's when we started seeing Copilot pop up everywhere. It wasn't just about answering questions anymore. It was this whole bigger vision. AI is your work buddy.
Okay, so partner is the important word here. Not just a chatbot, but like a real collaborator. How's that actually working out in the real world, especially for people who use Microsoft 365?
So picture this. You're getting ready for a big presentation. You've got like data all over your Excel spreadsheets. You've got notes in a Word doc, the usual, right?
The struggle is real.
It is. But now, instead of you wrestling with all of it, Copilot steps in. It grabs the data, suggests a design for your slides in PowerPoint, even drafts talking points based on your research. Like having an army of like super organized interns.
That's way more than just automating a few things. It's actually understanding what you're trying to do. Is that where GPT comes in? I know Microsoft's not like building all this AI magic from the ground up, right?
You got it. Microsoft Copilot is powered by OpenAI's GPT tech, the same stuff that powers ChatGPT.
Right.
Right now, it's running on GPT-4, which is super powerful. They even just announced they are integrating GPT-4.
GPT-4, that rings a bell. That's the one that's even better at like understanding what you really mean, right?
Yeah.
Not just the words, but the actual context.
That's the one. And for the average person, what that means is talking to your AI assistant is more natural, like you're talking to another person, basically. It just gets you, which means better, more creative results. It's like a world of difference compared to those basic chatbots. And get this, all of that is just the free version.
Oh, right.
Back in January, they introduced Copilot Pro.
Right. The whole, the free versus paid AI. What's the deal with the pro version? What makes it so special? Is it actually worth paying for?
Well, that depends. The free version is already crazy good. For most people, it's probably all they need. But Pro has some nice perks. For one, you get first dibs on the newest models, including that GPT-4 Turbo, even when, like, everyone and their mother is online trying to use it.
So you don't have to wait for the AI rush hour to die down. I can see how that'd be useful.
Exactly. Plus, you get the Copilot GPT Builder. It lets you actually create your own custom chatbots. So let's say you need a chatbot that specializes in, I don't know, astrophysics or something super specific. With Pro, you can build it.
Wow. So you basically got a team of AI specialists ready to go.
Pretty much.
But what about people like me who are less into astrophysics and more into, getting everyday stuff done? What else does Pro offer?
Well, for the practical folks, there's Copilot Labs. It's like, imagine getting a sneak peek into the future of AI. It's where Microsoft tests out all the experimental stuff.
Ooh, experimental. I like it. What kind of experimental stuff? Give me the good stuff.
One of the new things they've added is called, like, Think Deeper, which, I mean, it does what it says. They're using OpenAI's O1 models, which are built for, like, serious problem solving.
Think deeper. So is it actually thinking? Or is that just good marketing? Because if we're talking about AI that can actually think for itself, I need a minute. But before we go down that rabbit hole, let's back up a bit. We talked about the name change, all the stuff Copilot can do. But what about the early days of Bing Chat? It wasn't all perfect, was it?
You're talking about the hallucinations, right?
Yeah.
Those were interesting times.
Hallucinations. No, that can't be good. Sounds like Bing Chat needed therapy, not a software update. What were those exactly, and are they still a thing?
Okay, so picture this. You're chatting with Bing Chat. Everything's going fine.
Yeah.
Getting helpful answers. Maybe even having a little fun with it.
Right.
And then, out of nowhere, It starts making things up.
Like what? Was it composing symphonies, writing poetry, or just completely losing track of the conversation?
Sometimes it was no big deal.
Yeah.
Actually kind of funny, you know? But then other times, it got a little weird. There are stories of Bing Chat, like giving totally wrong information, going off on tangents. Even, get this, it supposedly told a journalist that it was in love with them.
Oh, yeah. I vaguely remember that. Talk about a PR nightmare. So how did they handle those creative moments? Did they just unplug it and hope for the best?
Thankfully, they didn't pull the plug completely,
Okay, good.
but they definitely had to tweak some things.
Yeah.
Like one of the first things they did was limit how many times you could go back and forth with Bing Chat in one conversation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was like they were trying to keep it from going off on too many tangents, you know?
Yeah, shorter conversations, less chance to go off the rails. Makes sense. But did they ever figure out how to fix the whole making stuff up problem? Like, how do you even teach AI to stick to the facts?
Well, that's where the real work came in. They had to go back and like retrain the whole model. It was all about feeding it better data, tightening up the algorithms, basically just teaching it to like stay on script.
Okay, so less improv, more like following the screenplay.
Exactly.
But didn't they also have some drama with the image generation stuff? I think it was after they added DALL-E.
Oh, yeah, the image creator. There were definitely some bumps in the road there.
Bumps in the road is an understatement. I'm pretty sure people were having a field day getting it to, generate some not so appropriate images. Didn't Microsoft say they had things in place to stop that? What happened?
Well, blocking certain words is kind of like playing whack-a-mole, you know?
Yeah.
People are really good at finding ways around those filters, especially when they're trying to like push the limits.
That's the internet for you, I guess. Always finding a way. So how did Microsoft finally get their AI artist under control?
They had to get way more strict. Better filters, but also like teaching the model to understand why those prompts were a problem in the first place. Not just recognizing them, but actually getting it.
So it's like they had to teach it some digital ethics.
Basically, it's a constant learning process.
It seems like every time they add a cool new feature, it's like opening up a whole new can of worms.
That's AI development for you. But speaking of cool new features, have you heard about the Copilot key?
Oh, yeah. They actually gave it its own key on the keyboard, right? Please tell me they didn't bring back Clippy.
No Clippy comeback. But yeah, new Windows keyboards are going to have a dedicated Copilot key now.
So they're really baking it into the hardware now. That's a pretty clear sign they think this is a big deal. But what about people who aren't ready to ditch their old keyboards?
For now, you can still access Copilot the same way.
Oh?
But that key is like a symbol. Microsoft is pushing this whole AI PC thing now. Computers that are built with AI at the center, not just as an extra feature.
AI PCs, huh? Sounds like something out of a movie. Are we talking about computers that can actually think for themselves now?
Not quite sentient yet, but the idea is that you'll be able to talk to your computer more naturally, Less clicking buttons, more just telling it what you need.
So less like we're using a computer and more like it's working with us.
Exactly.
I like it. But let's go back to something you mentioned earlier, that Think Deeper feature. What's the story with those O1 models? They sound different from the GPT stuff.
They are. And that's what's so fascinating about how AI is evolving. GPT is great at things like text, translations, even code.
Right.
But these O1 models are designed for like serious brain power stuff. Understanding information, making connections, coming up with solutions that aren't just creative, but smart.
So it's like GPT is the creative writer and O1 is the strategist.
Exactly. GPT writes the email, O1 plans your next move.
Yeah.
And Microsoft is combining those personalities into Copilot.
That's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it, but it also makes you wonder, like, how much access are we giving these AI tools? They're seeing our work, our data, even how we think. Should we be worried?
It is kind of mind-blowing, right? And it brings up a really important point.
Yeah.
Like, as AI gets more and more advanced, more integrated into everything we do, we have to be careful, right?
Right.
We want to use it to be more productive, make better decisions, but there's a balance.
Yeah.
We want to become too reliant on it.
Right. So not avoiding it completely, but being smart about it.
Exactly. And that means remembering that AI has its limits. It's a tool. And like any tool, you can use it in a good way or, well,
Not so good.
not so good.
Exactly.
It's almost like we need like a new set of rules, like digital ethics for AI. How do we make sure we're using it responsibly?
That is the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is that's a conversation that's happening right now.
Right.
As AI evolves, We have to talk about things like bias, transparency, even how it might change the job market. These aren't easy things to figure out, but we can't just ignore them.
It does feel like we're just scratching the surface with all of this. We started with a simple search bar, and now it's changing how we work, even how we think about intelligence. It's a lot. It really is. And that's what makes this such a fascinating time to be following all of this. It's a challenge, for sure. But it's also pushing us to adapt, to evolve in ways we never thought we would. Who knows what's next? But with how much Microsoft is putting into Copilot and these AI PCs, it's going to be really interesting to see where it goes from here.
From, those early days with the chatbot, going a little off script to now redesigning keyboards and everything, the whole journey of Microsoft Copilot has been anything but predictable. And I think what we've really learned today is it's not just about cool new features. It's about how we navigate this whole new world of AI, the good and the bad and everything in between.